Today's sutta is called Titthāyatana Sutta. So you find this. It's called a compound. In other words, it's made up of two components. First is Tittha. Tittha here literally means a ford. Ford is a shallow part of a river where horsemen will go across, carts, travelers will walk across. The river is shallow, Tittha. The metaphorical meaning, Tittha means the teacher who brings us across the waters of suffering. Right? The Buddhists don't use this very much. This refers mostly to the Jains and other sectarians, other non-Buddhist groups, right? So that's why you can see the title here. It says the Discourse on Sectarian Tenets. The short name is simply Tittha Sutta, the Discourse of the Sectarian. So Tittha also can mean the sectarians. In other words, those followers of other religions. Ayatana usually means base, as in the sense basis, ayatana. But here again, it's used in a metaphorical sense, the base for the sectarians, for views and ideas. So in this case, it is translated as tenets, teachings, views, okay? So you can see the word here, sectarian tenets, right? Tenets, teachings, the main teachings, Titthāyatana. Notice the R is long, it's a long vowel, 2 counts, okay? 1, 2, that's that long. But here's only 1, Titthāyatana. Okay, so it's like music, 2 counts, 1, 1, 1. Or long, short, 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 like that. Sutta means teaching, okay? A 3.61. 3 means the book of threes. There are 3 ideas here. These are the 3. We'll look at the 3 later. I'll tell you again what they are. 0.61. 61 is Sutta 61. And the theme here is the 3 wrong views regarding karma. These are 3 very common views, even today. Okay? But the 3 views are summarized here. You can see the Pali is Pubbe Kata Hetu. Pubbe means before, Kata means done, Hetu, cause, reason, right? So it can translate as everything is due to past action. Everything is done in the past. No? So this is one wrong belief. This is a wrong belief. Everything is because of past karma. Whatever happens, you say, oh, it's from past karma, right? Everything. Yeah? So this is called determinism. Everything's fixed already. So we can't do anything about it. Or we won't do, no point doing anything about it. So this is the first wrong view, determinism. This is very similar to the last one, fatalism. Okay, fatalism. Notice here, hetu meaning cause here is ahetu, no cause, non-cause, causeless. Ahetu pacaya. Pacaya means like a cycle, cause and effect. Pacaya. So ahetu pacaya means no causality, no cause, no effect. This is modern meaning is fatalism. Everything is fated, right? So this belief in fate, especially fortune telling, and everything is fated, so no point doing anything, right? So it's very similar here. But here, in number 1, the idea is everything is because of the past. Fatalism, everything is your luck, your fortune. It's like that. You can't do anything about it. Okay? So we have to be very careful. Now, sometimes we say, oh, everything happens for a reason, right? We just say it like that. There's nothing seriously wrong with the saying, but we have to ask, what do we mean by this? We have to carefully think why we say this, especially, some people are very convenient way of saying things, dismissing things. When we say everything happens for a reason, the question is, what is the reason? We don't know. They say, we don't know what's the reason, there's no point saying it. On the other hand, we may think of a reason. So things happen for a reason. For whose reason? We are the ones who create reason, right? For example, if we work hard and then this thing we want doesn't happen, And then we start thinking all kinds of things, right? So we say, oh, there is a reason for it. Well, we sometimes we don't know. For example, maybe we didn't work hard enough, or maybe the competition is very bad, or maybe we are not meant for that kind of work, and so on. So there are many possibilities. So we got to investigate and then look at the causes and effects, right? Basically here, the idea the Buddha is trying to teach us is look for the causes and then the effects, and then you know what to do, you know how to correct the situation. So don't resign yourself in these three ways, right? The third way, that's number 2 here, is theism. Isara here means the great Lord, here meaning something like, it is a God idea, Isara, Ishwara. In Sanskrit is Ishwara, okay? Nimana means creation, projection, okay, Nimana. Hetu, arising from, okay? Isara Nimana Hetu is the Pali technical term for theism, God belief. Everything is created by God, God idea. Isara Nimana Hetu. Everything is due to God, right? So this is where you pass your exam, you fail your exam, say, oh, it is God's will. I remember this very funny joke from one of those God-believing societies where the families are very huge and very poor. So the doctor has been telling this family, don't have too many children. You can afford it, and you can raise them, and they won't be healthy. So this woman says, oh, what to do? God gave. God has given me all these children. The doctor shook his head and told the woman, my dear lady, it's not God. God has nothing to do. It's your husband. It's your husband. Tell your husband for a moment, don't have too many children, right? So we easily dismiss, say God this, God that, right? So these are the 3 wrong views, which we often use to dismiss things and don't make any effort. Determinism, everything is like that. You can't change it. Number 2, theism, God idea. Well, God made it so, God will, God's will. And then 3, fatalism. It's our fate, our luck, right? So these are the 3. So the Buddha explains very carefully, very beautifully, and you see something really new and wonderful in this sutta tonight. I'm so happy that, I selected the sutta for us to study. So now let's look at the sutta itself. Let's go further down. So remember read the introduction, you can get all the terms and revise what you've had tonight. We pass it on, yeah. A bit more up. Down a bit, yeah, we're going down slightly. After 5, after number 5. Okay, there we are. It's a bit, starting a bit at the bottom of the page. Titthāyatana Sutta, the Discourse on Sectarian Doctrines, A3.61. These are the 3 very common wrong views even today. Notice what the Buddha teaches us is not just in ancient India 2,500 years ago, or you find these ideas are universal. Even today, you have this kind of ideas. The 3 common wrong views. Bhikshus, there are 3 sectarian doctrines. Sectarian means different groups hold this kind of beliefs in their own way. Not necessarily religious people, right? They can just believe this idea, everything is fitted, everything is fixed, right? Which, when fully examined, investigated, discussed by the wise, even if taken in any other way, will remain stuck as non-action. So the meaning is these 3 ideas, you can look at it in any way, but it will mean there's no point of us doing anything about it. It will not promote any kind of effort, any kind of self refuge, right? And as in Buddhism, self-effort, self-refuge is very important. Now, in Buddhism, we have the 3 refuges, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, right? So how does self-refuge take in? Well, we can say there is only one teaching in Buddhism. The one teaching is self-refuge. Go take yourself as your refuge. Atta dipa viharata. Right? The Buddha says, before he passes away, Buddha says, take yourself as your refuge. Take yourself as the island, as a refuge. There are various ways we can reflect on this self-refuge. One way is according to the suttas, it's the practice of satipatthana, meditation. You practice watching the breath, for example, then you are depending on yourself, your mind becomes clearer, and with a clear mind, you begin to see things as they really are, and you know what to do. Okay, that's one way. The other way is according to the three refuges, which I have just mentioned. How does self-refuge expand into three? From one, you get three. The Buddha is the best case of someone who himself practiced self-refuge. He himself noticed something wrong with the world. So he understood that he himself will suffer like that. And he knows he must make the effort. Right? So that's why we take the Buddha as our refuge. Because he reminds us we can do it. We can be like the Buddha. We can be Buddha if we choose to. But you don't have to. You can just practice his teaching. All right. So that's the Buddha as refuge. And the Dharma is the teaching, what we are looking at now. I'm trying my best to share with you my understanding of the Dharma. Okay. So this is a second refuge. The teaching is what the Buddha himself has done, the experience of the Buddha, right? So that's the way, that's the practice of self-refuge. That's the method, the teaching the Buddha gave us. So we take refuge in that. That's what we follow, not the teachings of those who tell your fortune, or those who tell you what to do, or those who say, oh, leave it to God. We don't follow all that. That's all wrong way, wrong views. Like this sutta reminds us not to do that. The Dharma is what frees you. The Dharma strengthens you. The Dharma empowers you with self-refuge. The Dharma basically is the Buddha's voice telling you, you can do it. Just don't give up. So sometimes we still give up because we forget the Dharma. We have all kinds of ideas. We're still stuck with our old ways, so we forget this. So we need good friends. We need Dharma friends, maybe teachers, maybe just good friends. So ideally, these good friends will be the arahats, the teachers who are really wise and awaken themselves, or maybe a stream winner. But we don't know. It doesn't matter. You can go around asking, are you an arahat? Are you a stream winner? Right? I remember when I was a young monk, this young man, a very proud young man, came up to me one day and asked me, are you enlightened? Are you an arahat? And I said, why do you want to know? He said, oh, you can only teach me if you are an arahat. You can only teach me if you are enlightened. I said, oh, wow. I said, I was suddenly for a while smiling. Then I looked at him, asked him, I said, okay, what makes you think that I want to teach you at all? So I didn't say whether I'm arahat or not. I say, what makes you think that I want to teach you at all? I mean, you don't go around demanding people, are you enlightened? If you're enlightened, you can teach me. If not, you can't teach me. It's amazing. So you have interesting people. So, but the idea is good, you see, that if we can get the Buddha himself, to come and teach us, wow, isn't that wonderful? But then the Buddha tells us there is the Dharma. So even when the Buddha has passed away, the Dharma is there. So you follow Dharma is as good as listening to him. And if you listen to someone very carefully, whether it's a monk or layman, you have that spiritual friendship, right? That spiritual friendship is the key in the third refuge. That learning from others when they are wise. They may not always be wise, but there are occasions when they are wise. So that's why I listen to them. And of course, if they have attained stream winning, that's wonderful. But we don't know, so it doesn't matter. You know, nowadays, if you look through the internet, you find people announcing, I'm a stream winner, and they even give the title stream winner, and then they have their website and so on. In a sense, they're humble enough. They say stream winner because now you have people who write books and say so and so, and then Arahant. We have that, and I'm writing about this kind of people in my latest book in SD60F. And in fact, we're scratching our head now, so wondering why does this intelligent man, claim to be an arahat, and he's revising the Buddha's teaching, he's correcting, say, oh, all these ideas are wrong, this, and then it should be like this, like that, arahats can live family lives, get married, get jobs, so they have revised their own idea of arahat. So we have this kind of ideas nowadays. So the Buddha has put the Sangha as the third refuge so that we know exactly what he meant, what he means by Sangha. It's that goal, the path that we want to take and reach for ourselves, and don't pretend to attain before reaching it. It is not something we want to reach and boast about. We just go on doing it. Go on doing it, and then one day you will know how far, how near you are to that stage in the path. The idea is keep on doing it. So this is what the three refuges mean, right? So overall, it means self-refuge. So the self-refuge corrects all this idea of non-action. Self-refuge means action. Kiriya, right? Akiriya means non-action. Kiriya means doing that which should be done. Doing that which should be done, right? Do what is to be done. So there's a Latin saying here, age quod ages. I think this is the motto of the Anglo-Chinese school, which is a mission school set up to convert locals to Christianity, especially of England. So if you are from Asia, remember, age quod ages, do that which is to be done, refers to this teaching of self-reliance of the Buddha. So follow the Buddha's teaching, age quod ages. Okay, so right, that's a bit of introduction. Let's go a little further and see what next. All right, so the Buddha first makes a brief statement and I say, okay, what are the three? Then he explains each of these in detail. This is actually the second stage, still not in full detail. So this is called a gradual teaching. First, the Buddha mentioned three things, and then he finds the three things, and then he goes into details in the third part, all right? So here, what are the three? What are the three ideas? Brackets 1, there are bhikshus, some recluses and brahmins who teach and hold this view. Whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is caused by past action, or you can also translate as done in the past. Okay? And then there's a bit of footnote 27 to read up if you like. And here I've typed for you the Pali terms, so you can start learning Pali by remembering all these words. Right, so you see here it's already bold for you. This is the Pali word, Pubbe Katahitu, right? Now, the system we use in Sutta Discovery uses common sense. For example, I don't have to explain why I put this word here and what these words point to. If you look at the line, the only difference in this line is past action is highlighted. So obviously, Pubba Katahitu refers to this highlighted phrase, right? So it works like that, right? Now, someone criticized why I use bhikshus. Say, why don't I use some other word like mendicant, and then or everywhere else use mendicant also. I think mendicant is a little overrated, it shows as if all the monks are high-class beggars, bhikshus is already found in the dictionary In fact, now the scholars, they have listed I posted in Facebook. There's a scholar who suggested a list of Sanskrit and Pali words which are found in the English dictionary, and we can use it. So I purposely use bhikshus when the Buddha is addressing the monks, because it helps us remember the word bhikkhu. And here, bhikshu actually is from the Sanskrit, but it's closer to English. So I use bhikshu because it's found in the dictionary. But in Malay, it becomes SYU, bhikshu, pronounced as sh, bhikshu. And then when it comes to the actual referring to a monk, I use the word monk, because in English, we are more used to the word monk. So I try to be versatile that way, all right? The idea is what helps you to follow the Pali translation. So this is the first one. There are bhikshus, some recluses and brahmins who teach and hold this view. Whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, whatever feelings we have, whatever experiences we have, all that is caused by past action done in the past. This is a wrong belief, all right? All right. So the Buddha is only listing this in a little bit more detail. Then number 2, there are bhikshus, some recluses, or other recluses and brahmins, who teach and hold this view. Whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is caused by God's creation, right? Because of God's will, right? Isara Nimana Hetu. Here again, you see the bold phrase, God's creation. So the second view, just mention the name, no details yet. 3, there are bhikshus, some recluses and brahmins, who teach and hold this view. Whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is uncaused and unconditioned. Ahetu apacaya, uncaused, unconditioned, right? It's already, we don't know the cause. We only suffer the effect. Or there are no causes. It's like that. So accept it, right? Don't make any effort. So these are the 3 wrong views. So the Buddha strongly advises us not to fall for this kind of 3 wrong views. This is the giving up way, right? The Buddha is saying, don't give up. Put in the effort. You can do it. Okay, let's look at details of the first one now. So you can see here, 2 and then brackets 1. Now, bhikshus, I approach those recluses and brahmins who held that whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is caused by past action. Okay, here we see the Buddha actually visiting, talking to people of other religions. So the Buddha is not just someone who stays by himself all alone all the time. Sometimes at the right time, usually early in the morning on his alms round, because it's too early, the Buddha would visit some of those sectarians, people followers of other religions, and talk to them about their beliefs and discuss, right? So the Buddha approached those recluses and brahmins. So notice, recluses are those who followed the system which is different from the brahmins. In the Buddha's time, the religious ideas were kind of divided into 2 main groups. The old group are called the brahmins. These are the high class, often rich brahmins who want to control religion. They are the priests. They define everything. They do all the rituals. Karma means rituals. Karma means the right kind of rituals. Only they can perform for you. Only the Brahmins can recite the Vedas. Imagine, you're not supposed to recite the suttas. Only the Buddha or the monks can do that, you know. So the Buddha reject the way of the Brahmins, very secretive and exclusivist. The Buddha invites us to study the Dhamma, recite the suttas, learn the suttas for ourselves. And he belongs to the opposite here. They're called the recluses, samana. Samana, brahmana. Samana are the recluses. These samanas is a broad term for those who reject the Brahmins, who want to find out the truth for themselves. It's a very broad term, so it refers to all kinds of people, not just the Buddhists, who, as a rule, properly speaking, renounce the world, they follow the path of renunciation, live simple lives, and practice in their own way, especially practice meditation so that they will free themselves from suffering. Of course, there are different kinds of recluses. Right? The one group is called the wanderers. The wanderers, they are like the hippies, many of them are actually just lazy people who don't want to do work, so they just put on some clothes or they don't wear any clothes, so naked ascetics. And people are always carried away by different people who behave religiously, and these people support them, give them food, and then they just lead an easy life. Of course, they got to think of something clever to talk, something people don't understand, and then people listen and say, "Oh, wow, this person is a great teacher." But there are many foolish people who just listen, and they think this someone who says something they cannot understand is a very great teacher. So those are the not so good kind of recluses. Then there are very serious recluses who do meditation. And when they come to meet the Buddha or the Buddha's disciple, they listen and they talk, and then they understand. They say, "Wow, this is wonderful." And then they become monks. Right? So this is the recluse movement. Those who are approaching towards the Buddha's way. And the Buddha is called the great recluse, Mahasamana. Okay? So we will stop here for a while. This just to show you how the Buddha connects and talks with other sectarians and compare notes, if you like. Religious, comparative religion, and sharing ideas. And of course, the Buddha is telling us what we should not do, what we should do. Okay, we will come back around 5 minutes time. We'll take a break. Now, for those of you who have just come in, look at your notes, page 47, section 2. So the Buddha is talking about the 3 wrong kind of views. And so he asked this group of people, says, "Is it true that you believe everything is due to past actions?" All right. 2.2. Having approached them, I asked them. So notice he asked them. He don't assume. He doesn't simply imagine. He asked them, "Is it true, as they say, that you venerables," so notice he's very respectful to them, "that you venerables teach and hold such a view? Whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is caused by past action." Being asked thus by me, they said yes, right? So the Buddha confirms that this is what they believe. So now the Buddha tells them, 2.3, "Then I said to them, in that case, venerables, it is due to past action done here and in past lives, past karma. There will be those who destroy life," right? So this is the first precept. That means you break the first precept, because whatever you do is because of the past. So whatever you do now, you say, well, this is what we did in the past. I have no choice but to do it, right? It is due to past action. There will be those who take the not given, right? So maybe their family, they were thieves before, and also now they also continue to be thieves. The children could follow the wrong way of doing things. It is due to past action. There will be those who are incelibate. Okay, this one needs explanation. Brahmacharya. Those who will break the celibacy rule. Now, this is not the normal 5 precept. This is actually the 8 precept. Here, the Buddha meaning, there are 2 levels of meaning. One is they break the 3rd precept, they don't respect others. And number 2, it means that those who claim to be religious people, they also break the rules, right? Because they can't control themselves, because they fall back to the past. So although they pretend to claim to be celibate, that they are monks and priests and holy people, gurus and so on, but they don't keep the celibacy rule. They don't keep the rule of no sex, right? They violate others. So this is the third. They will do it because they don't believe in karma. They're not afraid of being doing something wrong to others. They don't care about others. Okay. Number 4, it is due to past action. There will be speakers of false speech, right? So you notice here there are different indentation, right? So first indentation, second indentation, third indentation, right? So this first indentation, 1, 2, 3, are the precepts of the body, right? We break the precepts of the body through killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Now, this next 4, 5, 6, 7 refers to the fourth precept in detail, right? So here's the fourth precept. Speakers of false speech, they will break the fourth precept. They will lie, right? Because of past habits, because they think there's no karma. They don't believe in karma. Or it is due to past action, there will be speakers of divisive speech, right? They will simply talk to divide people up, make people quarrel, right? Even in families, no? Not just mother-in-laws, but also anyone. They will start talking to break up families. Even religion break up families sometimes, right? So we have to be very careful not to follow such religion. Then 6, it is due to past action, there will be speakers of harsh speech, right? So these people, they speak words to hurt others because of their habit, past habit, and they don't think about the karma they're creating. Because when we create angry, unhappy states in others, that's bad karma for us too. When we act violently, then others also respond in violence. It's bad for us too. It's bad karma because we initiated it. Then 7, it is due to past action. There will be speakers of useless talk, frivolous talk, right? So sometimes you go to stone temples on Sunday. If you really follow the suttas and you practice, you'll be shocked to hear what they say. They talk about going to Genting Highlands, going gambling, and they even talk about drinking and all these worldly things. So we don't do that, right? Because we don't want to get caught up with past bad habits. We don't want to create bad karma. 8, it is due to past action. There will be the covetous, right? So here, the person desire things because of past karma, right? They say, oh, it's something I've been doing, habitual, so no choice, no? Right? So they think that because in the past they've done it, so now they have no choice. So you can believe in karma or even not believe in karma. You can say it's due to my past action, right? Of course, if you believe in karma, you have the wrong idea about this karma. You say, what to do is my past karma. No, you can do something about it. Karma means you can do something about it. That's the Buddhist way. Then 9, it is due to past action. There will be the malevolent, those who have violent thoughts. They want to be violent, even destroy us. Right? So you feel very sad. We see, for example, some countries being invaded by other countries. Right? So that's a malevolent act by those who cause violence and destruction. Then it is due to past action. There will be those with false views. False views. That means we don't believe in karma, or we think that karma is just past action and we are caught up with it. So here the Buddha is saying, well, if you think that everything is due to past action, then what the precepts that you break or the 10 causes of wrong conduct that you commit, you claim that they're all because of past karma, because of the habits from the past, and we got no choice. The idea is that we got no choice. That is wrong. The Buddha said, you have a choice. And this choice is not just believing in some strange teaching, but putting the effort not to kill, not to steal, and so on. That's called the precept of restraint. All right, so that's 2.3. Okay, let's go on. 2.4. Furthermore, bhikshus, remember the Buddha is explaining to the monks, to us, to the monks, the teaching comes down to us. Furthermore, bhikshus, one who falls back on past action as the decisive factor will lack desire and effort. Thus, this should be done, this should not be done. All right. So, in simple words, the Buddha says, if we believe that everything is past karma, then we will not make we don't have the desire, nor will make the effort to do what should be done. This should be done. Yeah? We don't do it. This should not be done. This should be avoided. We don't avoid it. Right? Kiriya, akiriya. So we don't practice the 5 precepts. We don't practice the positive precepts. In other words, we kill and we don't show compassion. We steal, we don't show generosity. We commit sexual misconduct, we don't show contentment, and so on. Right? So this is what will happen. The world will become very dangerous. Society will be very difficult. I mean, look at, even in modern times, we see one country invading another country. In the Ukraine, for example, people there are suffering. You know, the Ukrainians are such a great civilization, really civilized. They have their own culture, and they supply a lot of grain to the world. There are also Ukrainians in Singapore. Some of these Ukrainians even attended my courses in meditation and so on. See? So you feel very sad when this happens. Right? People don't see the danger of karma, that their actions will have an effect on, will come back to them. Their past actions will come back to them. But you can change it by stopping all the negative action now and accepting the fact that you have done something wrong, and then say, okay, I will not do it anymore. All right. Anyway, so the Buddha said, okay, this is what he told to those believers, that everything is due to past action, past karma. Action can translate as karma also. 2.5. This bhikshus was my first refutation, rejection, in accordance with to the Dhamma, of such teachings and views of those recluses and Brahmins. So the Buddha doesn't accept it, says, I reject this is a wrong view. Right? Now, let's look at the second wrong view, that's section 3. Then, bhikshus, I approached those recluses and Brahmins who held that whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is caused by God's creation. So these are the God believers. You know? This is also a very common belief today, wrong view. Right? So here, notice the Buddha is talking about whatever we experience, happiness, suffering, painful suffering, or neutral. Now, neutral also can be suffering, boredom, we say, right? So some people, the rich people who have a lot of money, I have met such people. They tell me, oh, I'm blessed by God, so I have a good job, I have a lot of money. Well, within myself, I said, wow, okay. Then when you lose money, you get poor. I suppose you blame God also. So, well, there are also Buddhists, the Buddhists, they think that they are rich, and so it's good karma, and so they support other priests and monks who are also rich, and they don't talk to people who they see as poor, they avoid them. Some of them even, the parents who tell their children, you don't mix with this kind of people, they ask you things, So it's quite frightening to hear such things. In Buddhism, we learn to be generous, we learn to be kind, to support others in a sensible way, right? And then when we suffer, we also understand this is part of life, right? So if you choose to say, migrate to the US, and then you find in the place that you stay, there are very bad storms, wildfires and storm. Well, it's part of life there. So be strong. Don't give up, right? So ask yourself, the Buddha said, ask yourself, what should I do now? Right? So when there is suffering, we learn to be strong. right? We don't just say, oh, it's God's will. And then when nothing is happening, right, we don't get into some wrong ideas and do foolish things which will cause us all kind of harm. When we have this nothing to do, we practice meditation, we study the suttas, we maybe chat about Dharma with others. Right? So that's how we correct this wrong idea that everything is God creation, that everything is due to God. Right? So here, 3.2, the Buddha refuted this idea. The Buddha rejected the idea that everything is due to God, everything is God's creation. Having approached them, I asked them, is it true, as they say, that you, venerables, teach and hold such a view? Whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is caused by God's creation. Being asked thus by me, they said, yes. Then I said to them, so this is the Buddha's refutation. The Buddha rejects his reasoning. He says, in that case, venerables, it is due to God's creation. There will be those who destroy life, right? So here, notice the Buddha uses the same ideas again. The Buddha is very good in this kind of approach. He used the same 10 causes of wrong conduct. So he shows how the same teachings are connected with other teachings. So the Buddha said, if you believe everything is God's creation, then you kill others and say, oh, this is God's will. And this has been happening in Europe for centuries. Within Christianity itself, the Roman Catholics and the Protestants were fighting each other, and millions were killed during the 100 Years' War, 30 Years' War. One of my European friends, she told me, she's really sad with all these wars in Europe's past, because many of the old churches were destroyed, and these churches in the record ancestral, there are ancestral records there. Someone's born, is registered, someone's married, is registered there, someone dies, is registered there. And all these records are gone when there's a war. The churches are destroyed, they're burned down, because they believe in different way from the God that is taught in Rome, and so on. So they will destroy life, they destroy property, and so on. Destroy history and culture too. It is due to God's creation, says the Buddha. There will be those who take the not given, right? So here they will say, oh, it's God's will, you have to give this up, or you're supposed to give all these donations to the temple or the church or whatever. And it's due to God's creation, there will be those who are in celibate, right? When today you find all these nasty things going on, child molestation in the churches, very sad. For centuries, children who turn to the churches, orphanages for refuge, they are without parents and without refuge, and they were molested by the priests and so on. Then even in America, in the 90s, you find the Zen teachers, the senseis, and the Vajra gurus, the Tibetan teachers breaking the precepts, molesting their own students. Right? So, and there was a lot of suffering in those decades. All those, the good thing is there are people there who carefully documented all these sufferings for future generations to read. But the sad thing is still going on, right? I searched the net recently, that another news of another couple of Tibetan gurus molesting their followers. All these are, the funny thing is, they're Buddhists, but they believe they're God, right? So this is where, when we look up to the teacher like a God, that he's wrong, he can do no wrong, that he's almighty, he's special, this kind of things can happen. In other words, we do not understand the Buddha's teaching on the refuges, that we're supposed to make the effort ourselves, not to rely on others, not to worship others. 4, it is due to God's creation there will be speakers of false speech. It is due to God's creation there will be speakers of divisive speech. It is due to God's creation there will be speakers of harsh speech. It is due to God's creation there will be speakers of useless talk. So these are the 4 wrong speeches, right? These first 3 are wrong action of body. This middle 4, wrong action of speech. So some of them will declare they represent God, so they can say anything they like. So if you argue with them and say, but you don't agree with them, they say, no, God says so. But actually, who is the one saying that? It's they themselves saying it. So they are simply creating their own idea of God and saying that God, they're speaking through God, or they have God's idea. Right? So they are the ones who's defining God, right? And because of this, you can see in the history of Europe, history of many nations, religion divides groups, even within the same religion. We have different groups, and some of them can be very violent. Or one religion kind of shows violence to other religions. There's no tolerance. This is also very sad. We see this in Sri Lanka, right? The Buddhists, the majority Buddhists attacking the Muslims and so on. And then there is harsh speech. Right here again, because of this belief in the God idea, they attack other religions and whom they see as unbelievers. And of course, there'll be useless talk, because some of these things that talk about the God idea and so on are not very helpful at all. So the Buddha said it's not a very good idea, it's a dangerous idea, in fact. And because it is due to God's creation, there will be the covetous. They see other people have it, they also want it. Now, it is very interesting, because here you see, for example, the early churches, they see there are Buddhist monks meditating, then they also took over those ideas. And then today you find the psychologists taking idea of meditation, using it. Of course, is this generally okay? I mean, it's not that bad. They're using it to help others. But then there comes a point where it becomes something really commercialized. Then it becomes bad. It becomes, then we call it covetous. It's filled with the desire to have things. That's the meaning of covetous. All right? And then number 9, it is due to God's creation, there will be the malevolent. Like we disagree with others, and then because of so many of us, we harm them, we even destroy them through malevolence, through ill will. And number 10, it is due to God's creation, there will be those with false views. We see people suffering, we say, well, God is testing you, or God has a purpose for this. But these are all very nice words. In other words, too bad, we can't do anything for you. You're on your own. But in Buddhism, we try to help others. Compassion means reaching out to others with loving kindness. We don't just say, may all beings be well and happy. When we see people who are suffering, we try to help them help themselves. That's the meaning. So this is 3.3. Okay, so then the Buddha concludes this part. Okay, 3.4. Oh, there's a bit of wrong numbering at 3.4. It appears twice. So that later. Right, so this is 3.4. Furthermore, bhikshus, one who falls back on God's creation, the idea of God's creation, as the decisive factor, will lack the desire and effort. Thus, this should be done, this should not be done. So they don't believe in karma anymore. They don't keep to the precepts. Right? Precepts, 5 things to be done, 5 things not to be done. Since one lacks true and real ground for doing or not doing something, one dwells confused and unwary. Okay, so this one line we missed out earlier on. here, when we understand in this way God's creation and past karma, then our actions will be wrong. We're not very mindful, right? So here, the Buddha says, such a one cannot, in accordance with the Dhamma, call oneself recluse. So if this is the case, we cannot call ourselves samana, practitioner, a true practitioner of religion, in other words. So here the Buddha is saying, you want to really practice religion, you should reject this kind of wrong view, right? So this bhikshu was my second refutation in accordance to Dhamma of such teachings and views of those recluses and brahmins. All right, so that's the second view. A third view, what is it? Let's find out now. Section 4. Section 4, brackets 3. Then bhikshus, I approached those recluses, is probably another group of recluses and brahmins, who held that whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is uncaused and unconditioned. No cause, no effect. It just happened like that, by chance, or by luck. Having approached them, I asked them, is it true? Right? Notice the Buddha first, is it true, as they say, that you, venerables, teach and hold such a view, that whatever a person experiences, whether pleasurable, painful, or neutral, all that is uncaused and unconditioned? Being asked thus by me, they say yes. Okay. Further down, go down a bit more, 4.3. So now the Buddha shows that they are wrong. The Buddha says, then I said to them, in that case, venerables, with neither cause nor condition, there will be those who destroy life, right? So people who destroy life, right? Let's say one country bombs another country and say, oh, I don't know what's the reason, I just bomb, It doesn't make sense, right? Something's wrong. Or worse, I enjoy doing it, right? But that will be due to past karma. The wrong view that everything is due to past karma. Notice that is wrong too. So people will, without reason, destroy life, right? With neither cause nor condition, there will be those who take the not given. So just take for fun, they steal, all right? With neither cause nor condition, there will be those who are incelibate. They violate other people. They break the third precept, sexual misconduct, especially when they keep the vows, in this case. Yeah? I mean, this refers to the monks who are supposed to be celibate. 4, with neither cause nor conduct, there will be speakers of false speech. With neither cause nor condition, there will be speakers of divisive speech. With neither cause nor condition, there will be speakers of harsh speech. With neither cause nor condition, there will be speakers of useless talk. The 4 wrong speeches: false speech, divisive speech, harsh speech, useless talk. Right? So we will just enjoy this wrong speech without any reason for it. And then the last 3 are of the mind, precepts of the mind, if you like. With neither cause nor condition, there will be the covetous. People will just want what other people have and then, mess their lives up, get confused, unhappy. With neither cause nor condition, there will be the malevolent. They'll be violent to others. They think of violence to others. With neither cause nor condition, there will be those with false views, wrong views. They forget the Dhamma, right? So notice here, even people who forget Buddhism, that means they forget this conditionality about idea of causes and effect. Their angry thoughts, negative thoughts. You find there was some news report lately, some political monks in Sri Lanka, they were very violent in their words. They were talking about attacking other religions and so on. So it just shows they've totally forgotten their own Buddhist teaching, why they wear the robe. We should not follow such ways, right? So be very careful when we are following Buddhism by race, by ethnic, by country, instead of going straight to the Buddha's teaching through the suttas. Please remember this. Gently remind your friends, people you know, if you are giving talks, give talks responsibly and remind them. The Buddha teaches us to look at causes and conditions, to practice self-reliance. Right? So look at 4.4, the Buddha's warning again, third time. Furthermore, bhikshus, one who falls back on that notion that there is neither cause nor condition as the decisive factor will lack the desire and effort. Thus, this should be done, this should not be, this should be done, this should not be done. Right? We normal think in terms of right and wrong, not to do the wrong, to do the right, to live morally virtuous lives. Since one lacks true and real ground for doing or not doing something, one dwells confused and unwary, right? Confused and not mindful. Such a one cannot, in accordance with the Dharma, properly speaking, following the truth, we cannot call ourselves recluse. They are not true holy men. This bhikshus was my third refutation, third rejection of this wrong idea, in accordance to the Dharma, of such teachings and views of those recluses and Brahmins. Bhikshus, there are these three sectarian views, which when fully examined, investigated, discussed by the wise, even if taken any other way, will remain a doctrine of non-action. Right? So they will lead to us not making the effort correctly, no self-reliance. Okay, now we come to the second part, which is really deep Dharma, very wonderful Dharma, where the Buddha combines his teachings to show how we should practice it. The nature of the four focuses of mindfulness. Go further down, section 5, yeah. Okay, this is the Dharma part. So the previous half is very negative, the worldly teachings or wrong ways of the world. 5. Now, bhikshus, there is this Dharma taught by me that is unrefuted, undefiled, blameless, uncensured by the wise and recluses and Brahmins. And what bhikshu is this Dharma taught by me that is unrefuted, undefiled, blameless, uncensured by wise and recluses and Brahmins? Notice here, the Buddha mentions wise, recluses, and Brahmins. In other words, there are those who are wise and they will agree with him. So here the Buddha says, one, there are the 6 elements, bhikshus, the Dharma taught by me that is unrefuted, undefiled, blameless, uncensured by the wise, recluses, and Brahmins. 6 elements, Chadatu, right? So this part here, you see italicized, they're all repeated. So we'll look at the main words. This is the oral tradition, lots of repetition. Now we have the reading tradition. The Buddha said, what do I teach? I teach the 6 elements. Cha is 6, Da 2 elements. I teach the 6 bases of contact. Cha 6, Phassa, contact, Ayatana, basis. Cha, Phassa, Ayatana. Notice here, Ayatana, basis. Okay? Phassa, contact. 3, what did the Buddha teach? They are the 18 mental examinations, bhikshus. Atta rasa, atta 8, rasa 18. Okay? Mano means mind, adjective mental, pa vichara. Okay? Notice chara means to go, vichara means to wonder about, to think. Pa vichara is like go on doing it, strengthening. Pa vichara. That's Pali is beautiful. It shows you how the words are built up. No? Attarasa 18, Mano Pavichara, mental examinations. Number 4, they are these 4 noble truths, bhikshus. Okay, this one, all of us have heard of this, right? 4 noble truths. Chatu 4, Arya noble Satya truths. Right? So here the Buddha has talked about 4 wonderful teachings. So he introduces them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the Buddha goes on to the first application, the 6 elements, how is it applied? Now this part, please pay very careful attention because this is really interesting. So happy to see this again. The 4 focuses on mindfulness is connected with the 6 elements. How? And all these 4 are connected with the 4 focuses of elements, 4 focuses of mindfulness. How? 1, contemplation of the body, right? So what are the 4 focuses of mindfulness? Number 1 is of the body, right? So the Buddha applies the 6 elements to the body. These 6 elements, bhikshus, are the Dharma taught by me. That is, unrefuted, undefiled, blameless, uncensured by wise recluses and brahmins. Thus it is said, on what account is this said, right? All right, find out a bit more, further down, go down a bit. Number 7, 6.2 rather. Now the Buddha defines what are the 6 elements. Bhikshus, there are these 6 elements, namely the earth element, Patavi, earth, Dhatu element, Patavi. In Malay, it's Pertivi. Okay, that's how you get the Malay from Sanskrit. Sanskrit is Prativi, so Malay become Pertivi. The water element, Apo Dhatu. Fire element, Tejo Dhatu. The wind element, Vayo Dhatu. So again here in Malay we have Vayu, wind. Okay, normally these 4 other elements, but here we have 2 more. Space element, Akasa Dhatu. Sanskrit, Angkasa. In Malay, Angkasa means space, outer space especially, right? And then the consciousness element, Vijnana Dhatu. So you find these last 2 are extra. We'll find out in a while why. Yeah? Actually, they're not extra. I mean, there are 6 elements, okay? The 4 are physical elements, then these 2 are kind of like non-physical. Bhikshus, these 6 elements are the Dhamma taught by me, that is unrefuted, and so on, accepted by those who are wise. Remember the Buddha said, we knew the wise. Okay, so this is the first. So what does this mean here? So the Buddha said, okay, when you practice the Satipatthana, the 4 phases of mindfulness, the first is contemplation of the body. So when you reflect on the body, you reflect on the body as made up of earth, water, fire, wind. Earth are the solid aspects. Water, of course, most of us liquid. And then fire is heat, decay. The wind is gases, and movement, okay, in our body. And there is also space in our body, like in our mouth, our stomach, there is space, right? So this first 5 represents the physical aspect, okay? Or if you like, the first 4 are the physical aspect, and the space is kind of like neutral. And then the mental aspect is consciousness element, all right? Vijnana Dhatu. You find these teachings also given in the Devadaha Sutta, right? So these are the 6 elements taught by me, which are unrefuted, which are undefiled, pure, and so on, which are useful. So that is contemplating on the body, kaya nupassana, one way of looking at it. On a deeper aspect, we look at the body as made up of these 4 elements. And there is consciousness, right? So in Pali, you find the term Saviññānaka kaya, this body with its consciousness, right? So we have the physical element, then the consciousness. Now you see this in breath meditation, right? Now, when you are watching the breath, it's vayu, right? Wind. But then you find you can feel the breath touching your nose and nostril. That's the earth element. And then the water element, you feel the breath has got, you breathe into a mirror, you see water. And then the breath is warm, fire element. Right? And then as you breathe in, breathe out, you notice there is space in between. Okay? And you are conscious of it, right? You are conscious of it. So all the 6 elements are there. So it's a wonderful way of reflecting on your breath the next time if you want to make your breath meditation more interesting. So remember this, this is Dharma Nupassana. This is reflecting on the Dharma, okay? So remember this 6 element meditation. All right, now the Buddha goes on to talk on the second Satipatthana, second focus of mindfulness, the contemplation of feelings. 7. Bhikshus, these 6 spaces of conduct are the Dhamma taught by me, that is unrefuted, undefiled, blameless, uncensured by wise recluses and brahmins, that thus it is said. On what account is it said? Bhikshus, there are these 6 spaces of contact, namely the eye. Now notice first of all, what are the key words here? The eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Here again, the first 5 are physical, the last one is mental. So this is a second model. The first model, we use the 4 elements. The second model, we use the 5 physical senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind is the 6th sense. So you've got 2 models to talk about the body, the elements or the sense bases. The eye as a base of contact. Contact here means activity of the sense faculty, sometimes called impression. Eye as base of contact. Cakkhu pasayatana. Cakkhu is eye, pasayatana, contact, base, ayatana. The ear as base of contact. Sota pasayatana. In this case, of course, this is sound. First one is vision, a visible object. The nose as a base of contact. Ghana pasayatana. Okay. There's probably a line over the A, I think. The tongue as a base of contact. Juha, the V pronounces like a W. Juha pasayatana. Taste. Then the body as base of contact. This is feeling in terms of tactile, the body. Kaya pasayatana. The mind as base of contact. Mano pasayatana. Here refers to an idea touching the mind. Okay. So these are thoughts. So these are the 6: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, serving as basis of contact or our experiences, 6 kinds of experiences. So these are the 6 bases of contact. These are the Dhamma taught by me, unrefuted, and so on. Right? So how does this relate to the practice on contemplation of feelings? We'll come to it a little later. Okay, just wait a while. No? So just remember this 6 first. So now the Buddha said the contemplation of mind, what does it comprise of? It comprises of the 18 mental examinations, namely seeing a form with the eye. So notice here, earlier on the Buddha says eye, here the Buddha shows the eye in action, right? Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and so on. So this is a beautiful sutta. Even to learn Abhidhamma, start here, all the basic activities of the body. 18 mental examinations, they are number 1. First examination is with the eye. Seeing a form with the eye, one examines form. Cakkhu, eye, rupa, form. These are 2 words. Notice the space here, okay? Not cakkhu rupa, not 1 word, 2 words. Here, form as the basis for pleasure or for pain or for neither pleasure nor pain. Okay, this is the Pali word. Pleasure, pain, neutral. Right? For feelings, vedana here. Right? Hearing a sound with the ear, one examines sound. Notice we examine, we reflect on it. Okay, so this is sound. What is it? You hear this vibration, you hear it's impermanent, and it's you like it because it's soft and nice, or it's painful because it's loud and garish. And then the sound is very plain, so neutral sound, neither pain nor pleasure. So this is called vedana. So we examine sound when we hear things. Okay, next, further down, we go to the 3rd one, smelling a smell with the nose, one examines smell. Ghana. Ghana is smell. Ghana is the nose. Gandha is smell. Then vedana as the basis for feeling, pleasure, pain, or neither pain nor pleasure, neutral. Then the 4th examination, tasting a taste with the tongue. One examines taste, right? So we just notice the taste, it comes and goes. Juha is tongue, rasa is taste. And this taste is the basis of pleasure, or pain, or neither pleasure nor pain, neutral feeling, right? Three kinds of feeling resulting from taste. Three kinds of feeling resulting from touch also. Feeling a touch with the body, one examines touch. Body, touch. Kaya is body, pottabba, touch. And that is the basis. From that arises the feeling, the basis for pleasure, for pain, and for neither pleasure nor pain. That's Vedana, feeling. Or in modern psychology, we say experience. So this is what it means. Experience is either pleasure, pain, or neither. 6. Okay, this is the mental aspect. Cognizing a mental object, it means an idea, a thought, with the mind. One examines the mental object, one examines the thought, the state of mind, if you will. Okay, so it includes a lot of things here: thought, state of mind, emotion. Mano is mind, Dhamma is this mental object, the state of mind. As the basis for pleasure, for pain, for neither pain nor pleasure. Right? Through thinking, through a mind object, mental object, if you're happy or pain or neither. Bhikshus, these 18 mental examinations are the Dhamma taught by me that are unrefuted, undefiled, and so on. All right. Now the Buddha comes to number 4, contemplation of mind objects, Dhamma Nupassana. Bhikshus, these 4 noble truths are the Dhamma taught by me. Right. So contemplation of mind object are the 4 noble truths. There are many others, but here in this sutta, the Buddha speaks of the 4 noble truths. That is unrefuted, undefiled, and so on. And why did the Buddha teach this? How the Buddha teaches this? 9.2. Now the Buddha make use of dependent arising. Not everything, but enough. Independence of these elements, 6 elements, already mentioned above. Bhikshus, with grasping, there is descent into the womb. Now, apparently, this is the only place, it seems. The Buddha says that because of grasping, because of the 6 elements coming together, there is this consciousness going down into the womb, into the fetus. Okay. So this refers to rebirth consciousness. With descent, in other words, with this rebirth occurring, there is name and form. This slowly this mind begins to develop. With name and form as conditioned, there are the 6 sense spaces. Then the 6 senses begin to diversify, become more human, if you like. All right. Further down a bit more, yeah. With the 6 sense bases as conditioned, there is contact, right? So once like the baby, baby learns to hear things and then relates with the mother's sound, the father's sound, and then with the baby sees toys and be able to recognize the colors and so on, right? So that is contact. With contact as condition, there is feeling. Then as the baby becomes more mature, baby grows older, the baby begins to feel like certain things and don't like certain things, right? So that you can see this very interesting development psychologically here. Now the Buddha builds from this idea to feelings. Right, here we are, right? Feelings. Now it is for one who feels, because we feel. The Buddha says, he teaches us the 4 noble truth, because we feel. We feel means feel what? We feel pleasure, pain, and then something which is neutral. This is suffering. Now it is for one who feels that I, bhikshus, make known this is suffering. Dukkha, ayang dukkhaṃ. Yeah? I just keep the keyword here, it's Pali. Dukkha. Do means difficult. Ka is from the root word to tolerate. Kam. Yeah? Sukha means 1K. If you put 2Ks, the meaning is dry. So only 1K. Sukha. All right? Means something easy, good to tolerate. Happiness. Sukha. Here's dukkha. Now it is for one who feels that I, bhikshus, make known this is the arising of suffering. Now I don't use cause because Suffering is not caused by pleasure. It is when there is pleasure, suffering arises. Okay, this is what I learned from my Thai teachers anyway. So, samudaya, udaya, arise. Sa means con, in English com or con, that means together with certain other things, they arise. Okay. Now it is for one who feels that I, Bhikshu, make known this is the ending of suffering, nirodha, ending, right? Because because it arises, it also must end. That's the nature of things, arising, ending. Now it is for one who feels that I, Bhikshus, make known the path leading to the ending of suffering, patipada. Okay, path. This is called the teaching sequence, suffering, arising, ending, path. There is a very rare, old version where you have 1, 2, 4, 3. There is a rising of suffering. And when we understand these two, then we practice the path. And we practice the path, we end the suffering. This is nirvana. Okay? So that is from the Titthāyatana Sutta. Okay? You look under SD 1.1, you'll see that. The two kinds of sequence of the Four Noble Truths. 10. And what bhikshus is the noble truth of suffering? Right, so here the Buddha goes to this. Notice how the Buddha expands. After saying one thing, it builds up. Saying another thing, it builds up. So what is the noble truth that is suffering? Notice I said the noble truth that is suffering. Okay. This noble truth, we're talking about this reality of suffering. If we say the noble truth of suffering, we're only talking about the truth, the philosophical idea. But here we're talking about the real thing, the noble truth that is really suffering. What is it? Birth is suffering, right? Decay. To be born is suffering. You see, babies cry when they're born. So it's painful for them. And it's going to bring more suffering as we grow older. Decay is suffering. Decay, that means our body changes, our body weakens. Broadly speaking, we grow old. We're all growing old, right? I got a message from my old university in Thailand last week, invited me for the Vesak conference next month. I said, I can't go. I'm doing some work here, and also I'm too old to travel at the moment, right? So decay means growing old. My friends are growing old. We all grow old. We all are growing old. So make sure we grow old wisely. And death will come. Death means this body cannot bear us anymore. We'll be reborn. We get a new body. And then we start all over again. More sutta study, And because of that, there is sorrow, lamentation, pain, displeasure, and despair. All these are suffering, mental aspects, our emotions. To be associated with the unpleasant is suffering, right? When we get something we don't like, meet someone we don't like. To be separated from the pleasant, like from our loved ones, is suffering. Not getting what one desires is suffering. Not, in short, the 5 aggregates of clinging are suffering. So this last one is the most important. This bhikshus is called the noble truth that is suffering. 11. And what bhikshu is a noble truth that is the arising of suffering? Here the Buddha goes to the dependent arising again. With ignorance as condition, there are volitional formations. Because we are ignorant, we don't know what's right, what's wrong. We form all kinds of ideas through our thinking, our speech, and our actions. That's formations. We form formations. We form ideas in the mind, mental karma, ideas through speech karma, and we act it out, body karma. And because of this karma, this formation, as condition, there is consciousness, right? We become aware of this, aware of that. With consciousness as condition, there are name and form. We see things, we name them, and then we keep them in mind, we conceive them. We name and form as condition, there are the 6 sense spaces. So all this occur through one of the 6 senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. With 6 senses as condition, there is contact, we experience all these things. We sense them. With contact as condition, there is feeling. We like them, we don't like them, or we don't care about them. And because with feeling as condition, there is craving, right? Craving means you like something. When you like something, there is something you don't like. And when the conditions are not there, we become bored, right? With craving as condition, there is clinging, right? So in other words, when we crave for something, we get it, we hold on to it, we cling to it. With clinging as condition, there is becoming. We become the thing we desire. We act like that. If we keep on wanting things that we don't feel happy, we become like pretas. If we keep on wanting pleasure, we become like animals, and so on. With becoming, of existence, like as condition, there is birth. So we keep on having this kind of habits, then we will be born again with the same things. And with birth, when we are born as condition, there arise decay, death, sorrow, lamentation, physical pain, mental pain, despair. Such is the arising of this whole mass of suffering. This bhikshus is called the noble truth of the arising of suffering, right? So this is part of what? If you look at 11 above, you get the all these noble truth, four noble truth is under mind objects, not the last contemplation, right? Okay, now last part, last page, further down, yes. 12. And what we should is the noble truth of the ending of suffering. So this is the reverse of the cycle mentioned above, no? With the utter fading away and ending of this ignorance, volitional formation cease or ends. With the ending of volitional formation, consciousness ends. With the ending of consciousness, name and form ends. No consciousness, no naming and forming, right? With the ending of naming and forming, or name and form, the six senses also don't arise. With the ending of the six senses, contact doesn't happen. With the ending of contact, when there is no contact, no feeling. Feeling ceases. With the ending of feeling, craving ceases. No feeling, no craving. With the ending of craving, clinging ceases. With the ending of clinging, existence, being born again, or becoming again, right, ceases. With the ending of existence, birth ceases. No more rebirth. With the ending of birth, there cease decay, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, anguish, despair. Physical pain or mental pain here. Nah? The translation's a bit slightly different. So just make a note of that. Huh? So lastly, so this is called the ending of suffering, right? There cease decay, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, anguish, and despair. Such is the ending of this whole mass of suffering, that is nirvana. This bhikshu is called noble truth, that is the ending of suffering. And what bhikshu is noble truth? That is the path leading to the ending of suffering. It is this very noble eightfold path, that is the right view, samadhi, right thought, samasankappa, right speech, samavacha, right action, samakamanta, right livelihood, samaajiva, right effort, samavayama, right mindfulness, samasati. Okay, further down. Right concentration, samadhi. Samadhi got cancelled out. Okay, this bhikshu is called the noble truth of that is the path leading to the ending of suffering. These noble truth bhikshus are the Dharma taught by me, that is unrepeated, undefiled, blameless, uncensured by the wise recluses and brahmins. It is on this account that all this is said. And the sutta ends here. It's a beautiful sutta, isn't it? So notice we've taken the whole lesson. No time for questions today. So just one quick question. Does anyone really, you need to ask anyone? Otherwise, get ready for photo. All right, wonderful. Today we've have a wonderful experience, good meditation, and we've spent all the time listening to the Dhamma, to the Titthāyatana Sutta, where we see the Buddha combining all these very interesting teachings into the Satipatthana, focuses on mindfulness. Remember, this your introduction to the sutta. I've opened the window for you, so you look through it, and then look for the door, open the door to go into the Dhamma garden. The Dhamma is to be practiced by studying them again and again over your whole life, and then practice them bit by bit as you understand. Look at the notes, look at the suttas. So reflecting on this wonderful event today, we have also recited the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. We have declared our faith in the 3 jewels. And we have done some meditation that is really wonderful to calm the mind. And we have listened to the Dhamma. And we have calmed our minds, and we have sacrificed some time, we have practiced some kind of renunciation, nekkhamma. Reflecting on these wonderful things, this is a very powerful moment of great karma, good karma. We send our thoughts. May each of you, may tell yourself, may I be well and happy. May you be well and happy. Have good health so that you grow wiser and happier and healthier and live your life happily, bringing joy to others wherever you go. And send these kind thoughts to others, to your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors, others, even those who may not like you or you have difficulties with them. Wish them well and happy. And lastly, we remember to show our gratitude to our teacher, the Buddha, the teaching, the Dhamma, and the community of holy disciples, the stream winners, ones returners, non-returners, and the arahants. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.